I just got to see the Istanbul Bridge container ship arrive in Felixstowe in the UK. It had just completed its historic maiden voyage through the Arctic Ocean all the way from China. The Chinese-owned ship took a record 20 days, slashing the regular Suez Canal route by more than half. And that's including the 2 days it was held up by stormy weather off Norway. The Arctic Express route gives China another way to the west, avoiding Trump's super tariffs, America's military snarl-up in the Malacca Strait, and conflict zones blocking the railroad that goes through China's Xinjiang backdoor. The new Polar Silk Road is so fast it saves carbon emissions, bringing affordable goods to Britain. You'd think that was win-win all round, but this fast route is really annoying America, which has been trying to smash China's kneecaps ever since Obama pivoted to Asia in 2011. Donald Trump then doubled down with his trade war in 2018, and Joe Biden followed up, trying to contain China during his admin. No one likes a bully. Contain China. Container ship China, more like. All 4,000 of them aboard the Istanbul Bridge, carrying a cornucopia of domestic goods we no longer make competitively. Because Margaret Thatcher decided to turn us from a nation of manufacturers into one of service and tech. Like clever butlers. A cargo of electricals, batteries, solar panels, clothing and electric vehicles were delivered to Europeans struggling with inflation and social collapse. And we are truly thankful, and not just for the stuff. The last time I felt this optimistic about UK-China relations was in January 2017, when the first freight train arrived in Barking, East London, all the way from China through Eurasia. Unfortunately, this was the same month as Trump's first inauguration. Who knew he'd try to make himself king of the world by starting a trade war with China the following year? The prospect of Europe and China uniting the Eurasia landmass peacefully in trade was a blessed relief after America had nearly taken us all down with its economic meltdown in 2008. It was China that saved the global economy, a rescue which should have propelled us into a glorious new era of harmony and prosperity. But here we are with the jealous declining powers whipping up hysteria against Cinderella and trying to scratch her eyes out. The Istanbul Bridge left Ningbo Jiaoshan port on the 22nd of September, expected in Felixstowe at 5 or 6 p.m. on the 13th of October, meaning it would still be light. But the weather turned, temperatures dropped and it drizzled, feeling as if we're inside a big sopping cloud. But the cold and wet couldn't dampen our spirits. I was so excited when I saw the speck of light entering the Felixstowe estuary that my heart was thumping into my mouth. And here it came, a little bit late. The ship that launched 1,000 miserable faces among the Western elites had sailed all the way along the North Russian coastline of Eurasia and through the Arctic Ocean that should have been frozen even in the summer months. So, with a pilot light fore and aft guiding it into its berth, the Istanbul Bridge, operated by the Sea Legend Line, glided past with so little drama for such a big historical event. Look, there's barely a ripple from its weight. Truly a swan with its feet going like the clappers underneath. There's a metaphor in there somewhere. And then it was gone, slipped into its berth with all the other container ships moored in this busy deep-water harbour, where it would remain for around 16 hours being unloaded and reloaded with goodies before embarking on its next leg first thing in the morning, bound for Hamburg and thereafter Gdansk and Rotterdam. President Trump, though, is not a happy bunny. Failing in his geopolitical game of whack-a-mole, Trump's trying to get Europe to keep shooting itself in the foot and torpedo our China lifeboat by forcing us to slap 500% tariffs on its goods. Despite the fallout from the American-backed Brexit, he's already strong-armed Boris Johnson to rip out the Huawei 5G infrastructure we'd paid billions for and that was supposed to have made up for lost trade with Europe. And now Trump and his minions want to embroil us in a self-destructive war on our global growth engine. Yeah? You and whose army? Not ours, we don't have one. Seize this opportunity, Britain. Use it wisely to float us out of trouble. Given all the unpleasantness and hawkish desperation to start a war with our third biggest trade partner, we're lucky China still talks to us. Enjoy the moment, and don't frack it up. Waiting for the Istanbul Bridge at the Alex.
And this is my fish and chips.